Hey there, real quick, before we start this episode, I want to invite you to sell more of your digital courses with Facebook and Instagram advertising, a free masterclass I'm hosting on Wednesday, the 30th of September. In this masterclass, I'll take you through how to leverage your advertising to start selling more of your courses, memberships, services, or programs. Join me live on the 30th of September by going to www.newschoolofmarketing.com to sign up. Right. Now that said, let's get started.
Welcome to the New School of Marketing podcast, the place for smart, simple strategies that will amplify your business results. Sharing practical tips, insider knowledge, and actionable advice because marketing is something that every business owner can do. Now, let's get started. Introducing your host, Bianca McKenzie, mum, lover of snow sports, camping, horse riding, and in-demand launch strategist and Facebook advertising knowledge bank.
Welcome to the New School of Marketing podcast. I'm Bianca McKenzie, and today I am talking about launching a profitable signature service with Rachel Kurzyp. Rachel is a marketing coach, copywriter, international speaker, and teacher. She taught over 3,000 people how to use their business and creative passions to be seen and heard. Everything Rachel does is focus on supporting business owners to launch a profitable signature program and create content with confidence so they can embrace their multi-passionate lifestyle. And a fun fact about Rachel is that she had a pet kangaroo as a kid. All right, Rachel, welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about yourself and about this pet kangaroo. I want to know more about that.
Thanks so much for having me on the show. Well, to jump right into the pet kangaroo, because I'm guessing that's what everyone wants to know about. So I'm originally from Hobart, so Tasmania, Australia. And down there, lots of people grow up on like farms. And so I was like half a city kid, half a farm kid. And yeah, I used to spend a lot of time in the bush with my dad and would often find like baby joeys, like baby kangaroos and wallabies, that their parents had died for whatever reason. And one day we found one and it was old enough to be taken care of. So we took it home, raised it, took care of it, and then released it back into the wild. So I think I had about 3 pet kangaroos over my childhood. And of course, if you're from Australia, you can guess what we called it, a skippy, which I know is not very original at all, but we were like 6, okay? So please don't judge me.
Oh, that is totally cute. So, everyone's got cats, dogs, and you had a kangaroo. That's so super cute. All right. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for people.
Sure. So I'm a marketing coach, a copywriter, international speaker, and teacher. So I'm a typical millennial, which means I do all of the things, and I've been blending who I am with what I do for about 14 years. And more recently, the last couple of years, I've moved more so to working with multi-passionate business owners, specifically women in small businesses who are really looking to be seen and heard and want to build a sustainable and ethical business and want to learn, great sales and marketing strategies that are easy to implement and that feel good to them to use.
I love that. And I've been following you, and we've been speaking to each other a little bit, and I've been following you online, and you often say that how do I find clients is the wrong question. And what should creative entrepreneurs really be asking instead?
Yeah, so this is a question that I get asked all the time. And you can imagine, because, I'm a sales, a marketing coach, copywriter, that's my job, right? I help you get clients. But the problem with the way that this question is phrased, how do I find, with the emphasis being on find clients, is that often it falls into unethical sales and marketing tactics. So the bro marketing that we often see, the sleazy car salesman who taps on your window, slides into your DMs and just sells you crap you don't need without actually building the know, like, and trust factor, which you hear people like me talk about all the time. And so what I suggest is to actually reframe the question. So I don't want you to find clients. I want you to attract clients, and that's using attraction marketing. So you can't actually control who is going to buy from you, who's going to like you, who's going to want to work with you, but you can control who you are, what you do, who you help, and how you help. And that's what I want people to focus on. And that's like sales and marketing strategies that they can implement, because you can control that, right? But no, you can't control how you're going to find clients, and spending so much of your time, energy, creativity into like hunting down these clients is probably not the best use of your time.
I can totally relate to that. It's like, it'd be like finding a needle in a haystack. They're out there, or maybe multiple needles in a haystack. They're there, but if you've got a magnet, it's much easier to get them out, right? So,
yeah, and I guess, I was going to say, like, I guess the thing is also that when you find these clients, right, like when you've hunted them down and they finally said yes, you know, whether they really wanted to or not, and then you get stuck in what I call like a lousy client rut and marketing cycle, because you end up just saying yes to whatever they ask. You often don't have set solutions and programs. You often discount prices because you're afraid that you're never going to find these clients. So exactly what you said, Bianca, like you finally found them, you know, these like unicorn clients that everyone's been talking about that you've wanted for so long, and then you're willing to compromise everything about yourself and your business to keep them. And again, that's not the right approach to running your business.
yeah, I love that. That's amazing. Cool. So, you know, both of us are in business and we're both in marketing, and we've kind of been hammered on the head about niching and, you know, really honing in and, yeah, getting really focused. And so how can listeners really niche into their right sort of area? How can creative entrepreneurs do that?
Yeah, I think this is a really good question, because again, you know, we're both in this space. Everyone is always talking about it, me included. But what I found, even, you know, with a background in business, marketing, journalism, is that no one was teaching me how to do this. They just said, you know, figure out who you are and find your clients and solve a solution. And everyone's like, what? Like, until you've gone through the process and have done it a few times and everything clicks, it just, again, feels like this weird thing that everyone tells you to do. And you're like, I don't know how this is going to help me. So I've come up with my own signature equation, which I will run you through. So the first part is you. So you need to know who you are, what you stand for, your business values, you know, your mission, purpose, personality. You need to really understand what your unique strengths are and what you bring to the world, to your business, and to your life. So if you're not clear on what sets you apart from others, and I don't mean this in like a horrible way where you're like, oh my God, I do that better than her. I'm just talking about like you as a person, only focusing on you. Then you're going to find it really hard to even think about what you could be offering. And then the second part is your clients. So you need to actually understand who you're speaking to, who you're serving, and not just like, oh, they drink lattes and they love going on holiday and they're 25 years old.
Yeah.
They're just kind of demographic stuff, right? Like you need to get into the psychographics, which I know you do really well too, Bianca. So you need to really understand your clients, like stalker level, understand them. So they, you know, when they read your content or talk to you, they're like, oh my God, how did you know that's what I was thinking? And then the second part of the first part of the equation, so you've got you plus your clients plus the problem. Like, what problem do your current clients or community or followers have? What is the one thing that's holding them back from achieving like their goals or a transformation they want? What's keeping them up at night? Again, you need to be really clear on what that problem is. And people often stop at the make more money, find more clients, save time. And again, I want you to go deeper than that. You know, why are you looking for a coach? Why are you looking for a Facebook ad manager? Why are you in business? Why are you hiring? Why do you buy things? Why do you read a certain magazine? Like, what is it giving back to you? So you need to understand that. And the final part of the equation is solution. And that's where your signature service comes in. That's the niching part. So unless you have your clients, your problem, you can't actually get a solution that would then set you apart from everybody else in the space.
Yeah, I love that. So can you tell us a little bit more, like you've touched a little bit on it, but what is like a signature service or a signature program, and why really do we need one?
Yeah, well, I mean, to follow on this, if you want to see business success, I know everyone, like I said, is always telling you to niche, but it's true. Like, you can't position yourself as an expert. You can't stand out from the rest. You can't help your clients get really, life transforming, moments unless you have a signature service or program. So your signature service or program is you answering the equation I just said and solving the problem. So you need to solve a specific problem for a specific group of people in your unique way. That's a signature service or program. Why it's so important is, firstly, we're often afraid as business owners and online business owners that people are going to come along and like steal our stuff or, push us out of the market or anything like that. And these are in some ways quite valid fears. But if you have a signature service or program, there is no way that people can knock you off your spot, because no one can replicate that. No one can take away that equation from you, because remember, the first part is you. So no one can replace you. So if you have a signature service, you set yourself apart from everyone else. It allows you to become an expert, like I said. It helps you craft content. I know a lot of my clients struggle to write content, that attracts their clients. So going back to that attraction marketing, it allows you to focus on marketing tactics that will actually work, that are suited to you and your business and the way you want to show up. And more importantly, it stops you from customizing. It stops you from working just with any old client for any old money. It stops you saying yes to opportunities that aren't actually right for you, that take you away from achieving your mission. And it just stops you from sort of staying in this like space of business where you're constantly hustling, you're constantly stressed out when you're going to get your next paycheck, and you're sort of constantly pushing everything out into the world instead of sitting back and letting things come to you.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here nodding my head because, so many of us, like, even if we try to craft, or like, I know that some of my clients, and especially in the past, and other people in programs that I've been with, they've been trying to craft like a service or a program, but I think they have left that really important part out of the equation, the you factor. And I guess when you don't put that in there, it becomes a replicable thing. So someone else can, in a way, run off with it and, start trying to do that for themselves. But really putting you in that equation, it makes it yours. And I know it's not about you or me or, it's not always about us in the business, but it is a really strong part of it, especially in a service-based business, because it comes back to that know, like, trust factor, right? That people work with someone that they resonate with. So I think a signature service and a signature program is really important, but including that you factor in it. So is that basically, because I know that you have a 4-step framework, is that your 4-step framework with the clients, or is there something else that you could share with us?
Something else. So before I move on to the 4-step process, I do want to say, too, that especially if you're a service-based business, you are your business and your business is you. Yeah. So this idea, yes, your focus and your attention should be helping your clients and solving a problem, but trying to remove yourself is going to distance yourself from your business, distance yourself from your clients, your solutions, everything. And again, I see, what you said, people remove themselves and then end up with this kind of wishy-washy business that feels and sounds like everyone else, that they don't actually love turning up to, they don't love showing up for. And again, this causes a problem because, they start to think that they're doing something wrong or that this isn't what they wanted. And then again, this often leads into, bad marketing tactics or taking a break and coming back and losing momentum. So there's a balancing act, hence the equation. But you do need to put a lot of yourself into your business because people want to work with you, like you said, Bianca. And if you remove yourself, that's when you get the really standard content, marketing, sales strategies where you could remove the person's name or the email address and you wouldn't even know who it came from. Yeah. Your clients and followers should be able to tell that it's your piece of work. And I know I get a lot of messages from my clients saying how they just know my content, just know my marketing, the way I talk about my things, the solutions, they just know it above everyone else's. It stands out. And again, I know that's what lots of people want when they're looking at digital marketing.
Yes, I totally wholeheartedly agree with that. So when you go into like working on a force, or not the force, well, in the 4-step framework and setting up this equation, when people do this, where should they spend the majority of time? Because I know from my experience, a lot of people skip over some of this, and you've already touched on it a little bit, that people don't go deep enough. But where do you think in this equation, where should people really focus the majority of their time to get it right?
Yeah, this is a really good question. I totally agree with you. So we've got this equation, and the you plus your clients plus problem equals solution is the equation that we solve in the first step of my framework. So there's 4 steps in my framework, which is package, position, promotion, and perfect. So package is where you need to spend the most of the time. If you don't get your package right, if you don't know who you are, who your clients are, the problem you're solving, and how you want to solve that problem, it doesn't matter how good your positioning is, which is your marketing, your branding, your logo. It doesn't matter how good your promotion is, your catchy like call to actions, your flashy launch strategy. It just doesn't matter, because they're going to be out or skewed slightly and aren't going to get you the results you want. So when I take people through, this framework in my coaching program, we spend a lot of time on packaging, and we constantly come back to it and tweak it through the other steps. So in the packaging, like I said, we solve the solution, but we also look at naming our service or program, the price that we want to charge for our service or program, because again, lots of people spend too much time on the name and the price. But again, that's just like the icing on the cake, because if you don't understand the solution, the transformation your clients are going through, it's going to be really hard to price it. And that's where people kind of just throw any price at it or any witty name and think that's going to sell, the whole package is going to sell their service for them.
Yeah, that's so spot on. It's all about the solution and the transformation that you bring to someone, and in a way that transformation is what kind of can get a certain price. Like someone will pay X amount for this amazing transformation, and this is why doing this right can mean that you can attract higher prices, and you don't have to do the hustle and grind and sound like everyone else and be paid like everyone else. I know that it sounds a bit dismissive talking about some business owners in a way like that, but so many of us skip so many important steps, and I don't know, I feel sad about that, because businesses can be absolutely amazing and not in a way, well, there's always a little bit of stress and worry, but it can be much more comfortable and enjoyable in my opinion and in my experience. So having that 4-step framework and really spending that time on that packaging is vital, really, to a business success. Would you agree with that?
Definitely. And, I'm all about helping my clients attract like high quality, high paying clients. And like you said, starting to get paid for the transformation that they create, for the experience that they bring, for the support that they give in their programs, and less of a hours time spent for money, because lots of people are still doing this when they don't follow this framework. And even if you follow someone else's framework, that's completely fine, but just making sure that you're really clear in this packaging stage, because like you're right, if you don't, everything from that, it's just like shiny objects that don't really come back to the heart of what you're selling, of what you're launching, of what you're doing. Because when you move into, say, positioning, and you look at your brand story, your key messages, your values, if you want to look at how you're actually helping your clients get from point A to point B, again, if you're just focusing on the pretty shiny stuff, a cute logo, a cute Insta handle or title, that isn't positioning either. And I feel like a lot of people are then jumping onto that and saying, yep, tick, I've done the positioning, because I haven't actually done the package work. And once you've done the package work, it really like flows into everything else. So your positioning then becomes easy. You know what you want to say, you know how you're different, you know who you want to attract, which then flows into promotion, because how much easier is it now to choose if you should be doing, IG lives, you should be doing Facebook ads, if you should be doing email sequences. All of these marketing tactics then make sense because you know who you're speaking to and what content and information they need to see and hear to help them understand that you are the right person to work with. And so again, it just flows so easily. And I'm not saying that it's like, a breeze, a walk in the park. My clients, when they do my coaching program, like want to cry. And every time I go through this process, I want to cry. It is so hard and challenging because you question everything. You put yourself out there, you give it your all, right? But that's what makes some business owners succeed over others. It's not because they're smarter or better or have like different solutions. A lot of us are really solving the same problems. In fact, we all are solving the same problems. There's about 26 problems. We don't solve new problems. We have unique ways of solving those problems. And so again, you need to sort of do the work so you know what your unique look at those problems are. A lot of people spend too much time, again, trying to solve a new problem. And again, that's not going to get you the results you want.
I'm just sitting here nodding my head at everything you're saying. And it almost takes me, it kind of takes me back to when I first started, because, this is not something that Rachel and or anyone who's in marketing just comes up with. We have walked this path as well. We often have learned a lot of these things, back from our education, but we've also had to walk the same path. And I have a marketing background, I have a marketing education, and I know all these things, but doing them, like you said, I want to cry sometimes because it is really, it's almost confronting work, but it's so necessary because if you skip it, and trust me, I've tried a few times, skipping over it, but then I know that I have to go back to the drawing board because it is work that is necessary, and it is work that goes deep. And it has to go deep. So yeah, I love that you touched on all of that, because I'm just sitting here nodding my head and going, yep, I've gone through that and I've gone through that. And I've definitely had days where I don't want to throw my computer through the window and go back to, a job or something else, crying my eyes out. But in the end, we know why we do it, because we love helping our clients, and we love having the freedom in our businesses. So, and I know that we don't always get it right the first time. I definitely have, my business has transitioned over this past 6 years that I've been in business, and I've made a lot of mistakes. And can you share a few mistakes that you see people making in this space? Because I know what I can see, but I would love to hear it from your perspective as well. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people make in this area?
Definitely. And I mean, it comes down to like the fourth step in the framework, which is perfect, which is like testing, tweaking, making changes, always working on your service. Because again, lots of people will launch it, will do it, and then won't do any work on it. Because like you said, Bianca, you summed it up so well. It is so confronting. And when you put your like heart and soul into like something and it doesn't go exactly how you planned, it's heartbreaking, right? Like when you've gone through this process. But the thing is, like you said, I've made heaps of mistakes too. I've tried to skip parts, and I've made all of these mistakes that I'm about to share with you. So there's about 3 to 5 ones that I see everyone making. And if you're listening and you're like, I've made these, don't feel bad. I feel like in some ways we all have to make them to realize we can't skip the work and that we have to go deeper. So I feel like it's like a rite of passage, because the first one I see lots of people do, because the internet tells them to do it, is just to increase their prices. So, they're like, picture them, they're like hustling. We've all been there, like trying really hard, they're trying to find these clients. And then some marketing guru comes into their inbox and says, hey, the problem is you just need to raise your prices, increase your prices. You don't think you've got enough worth, you should be charging more. That will solve your problems. And some ways, yes, but if you go back again to like my framework and stuff, you can't just slap a price on it. But that's what we do, right? So we're like, oh, cool. Well, I'll just, I'm worth more, right? Of course I am. I'm worth $1 million. So I'm going to like triple my prices. But they don't actually balance that out with value or transformation. So then what happens is, instead of going from, say 5 clients a month to, 8 or 10, they actually go down to 2 or 1, because now no one wants to pay that price. I don't see why they should start paying that price. So that's kind of mistake number 1. The second one is creating services based on price. So you've probably seen this a lot, where people have tiers, tier 1, 2, 3, they'll call them a cool name, obviously, or a cool color or something like that. But instead of, like we've been talking about, focusing on the transformation that their clients or customers get, they do it based on price. They're like, well, my clients don't want to pay like $3,000. So I have like one at 500, one at, 1,500, and one at 3,000. Great. But that's not how people buy. And so then what people find is that no one wants to buy, the 3,000 VIP service or program, because, it's just got a whole bunch of extra stuff they don't need slapped onto it to try and justify that price. They're just going to go for the cheaper one because that is cheaper. It looks like it's going to do the same thing. Why would they invest more? And so again, you should be creating services and programs based on transformation. So you could have one signature service or program that's your high ticket offer. And if you're finding, particularly now in COVID, and I totally understand this, and this is what I teach in my program, you can have what I call a mini service, which is, say, the first step or hurdle within your full signature program, and you just pull that out and people can do that. And that's like a nice test to see if you're the right person for them, to see if they can get results, to prove that you can do what you say you can. And so that mini service feeds into your bigger service. And so it's not just 3 random things kind of put together based on price, or a signature service just like, cut in half based on price with a few extra bonuses here and there to like justify that price.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. You can't just slop a price on a shitty product or service. It all comes back. Everything comes back to the packaging, doesn't it? Everything comes back to the packaging, the value you provide, and then how you promote and position that. And I think it might be challenging for some people to do that sometimes. But
yeah, definitely.
That's basically what all marketing comes back to, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like I sound like a broken record. I was like, my equation, package, but like it's true. I mean, I learned this at university. So if you don't believe me, get out a marketing textbook. Like Bianca said, it's there. I'm not making this stuff up. This is the foundations of any marketing sales strategy that anyone is using. I haven't created anything new. It's just the foundations, because you're right. If you don't get your packaging right, the other 3 mistakes I see people making, like, the third one, investing in visual assets. So again, investing in designers, web designers, all of that kind of stuff, so it looks pretty. But like I said before, not in your messaging. All you're going to get is maybe a few more people interested because it looks shiny and pretty and new and cool, but then it won't actually convert them. So you would have spent a whole bunch of money on this stuff, but it won't actually convert. And then you're going to think that your package, your service, your offer, that there's something wrong, when there isn't necessarily. You just haven't positioned it right. And then that also like leads into a flow-on effect, which is what I see clients do. Go, okay, I raised my price, didn't help. I created services based on price, didn't help. I invested in a designer because someone told me to, that didn't help. Stuff it. I'm sick of trying to give people what they want. I'm going to create what I want. And I say that with attitude, because this is the exact thing that I did a couple of years ago. I'm going to call myself out my own BS. And then I just created what I wanted to make. And guess what? Crickets. No one wanted it. And so then I started to go into the 5th mistake that I see everyone make, which is, should I discount? Crap. Should I just discount it so that I can get people into my program? I didn't do this. I went back to the drawing board. Thankfully, I talked some sense into myself, let go of my ego. But lots of people then go into discounting, and then you see lots of people being like, my program was 3,000, now it's 1,000. And then they get clients who aren't perfect, which don't get the transformation they want. And then they don't go out and advocate. And then you can see how we go all the way back to the start, which is then I've done something wrong. I'm going to take crappy clients. I'm just going to do this. And people just get stuck in this cycle. And I've been there. So I know how painful it is, and I know how, me sitting here telling you this, you're like, Rachel, you don't get it. I do. And I promise you there is a way out. You've just got to take it one step at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. I am totally nodding my head here. And if you read stories of a lot of what I would call successful entrepreneurs, people that I look up to as well, if you put their business or their story under the microscope, most of us have a similar story. Most of us have made some of these mistakes, or like you with, the last one, you came to your senses beforehand and you went back to the drawing board and back to what is going to, make a difference by creating or by taking that 4-step framework and really working on that package and then promotion. And I really love that you touched on the whole visual side of it as well, because this is what I tell new people that ask me questions about starting a business is you don't need a website, you don't need a logo, you don't need any of that when you start out, because your business will most likely transform. That's my experience, and it's the experience of so many people that I have coached and I've seen transform. Your business from day one will not be your business 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. It will change, and like you said, yeah, you'll be wasting money on all these shiny assets.
Yeah, definitely. And, again, this is like a myth that you need to have all these things. Like you need to have, like you said, a website, thousands of Instagram followers, freebie with a full email list, that you need to have all of these things to sell your signature service or program. You do not. I sell stuff all the time and there's literally no sales page, nothing. And these are anywhere between $500 offers all the way up to thousands of dollar offers. You don't need this at all. It does help later on, and it's something that I do teach in my program later on. We build all of that stuff out. But only once you've got this first stage done, and that, I suppose you'd come in with your website and like you said, your logo and stuff, when you're up to the, perfect stage where you've done it a few times, you're like, yep, this is where I'm at. This is exactly what I want to say, what I want to do, who I want to help, then invest. You're so right, because it changes all the time. And, this time last year, I, got a new website and everything, and it's still like 95% there. But even recently I had to go in and tweak a few things, add a few different freebies, update some messaging. Like it's constantly changing and evolving, and it should be, because remember, you, which is a part of the equation, you're changing, evolving, and so are your clients. Yes, they're in the same spot. You can keep helping them, but if you want to bring them along with you, which I'm hoping you do, which is a bit off topic with the branding, business strategy, then you're going to constantly be changing, and so are your clients, and you need to keep adapting so you can keep serving them. So again, it's not something you just create and then never touch again, which again, I see lots of business owners do. And then that's why they get all that kind of like wishy-washy messaging and too afraid to point people to their website. And again, that just creates barriers, right? And we could remove those for ourselves.
Yeah. And going through that equation a few times really helps you each time, because you will keep going through it. It's not something that is a set and forget. Yes, you might still focus on the same problems and a similar solution, but like you said, you will be evolving, your clients will be evolving. But knowing that equation and having gone through it deeply a few times means that you're familiar with it and you can make those changes more easily. It doesn't, like, it's not hard every single time you do it. It becomes more of a second nature going through that, because you know you so much better, you know your clients so much better. So every step you take from there on becomes slightly easier. And you'll probably see that with your website, Rachel, that you only had to make small tweaks and not a massive overhaul. Definitely. Because everything changed.
Yeah, that's so right. And you're right, I'm constantly tweaking, changing, doing everything to make my programs better, my courses better, products better, messaging better. Obviously I love this stuff. It's my day job, but it's important to keep doing. And again, the perfect stage, that is forever. That's forever going. It's not just you do it for 2 weeks and you stop, which is why I encourage people. And, only recently I'm going to be honest, only recently I added that fourth step. So I saw so many of my clients getting to the promotion, launching, and it went, well or not so well. And then they kind of fell flat and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do next. So I'm like, perfect it, do it again, over and over, which I know is kind of daunting, but it just needs to be done. And that's what sets you apart again from a lot of other business owners, like you said, Bianca, that you look up to. They're just doing this over and over. You don't know that because they're doing it internally, but trust me, they are.
Yeah, totally. I feel like I work mostly in that perfect area. That's kind of the place where I spend the most amount of time now. Not for myself, for my clients. For myself, I'm like all of these points, but for my clients, I am excuse me, I am mostly in the perfect area where when we get to, running Facebook ads, we look at the numbers. Okay, what are the numbers telling us? What messaging do we need to tweak? Do we need to sort of focus back on, which audience we're working with? And this is, like you said, it's one of those places where people do fall flat and where people don't really know. Yeah, they've created it, they've put it out there, and then they don't know what to do with it. And yeah, it's a really interesting space because it does take tweaking forever. You need to look at your email open rates, your email click-through rates. Do we need to change the subject line? Do we slightly need to make the funnel a bit longer, more emails? And it's a reasonably daunting stage. But when you finally get to that, I wouldn't say, I'm going to use the word perfection because it will never be perfect, but when you get there, and then you also know what you need to do if things start changing again. And it's a never-ending process, that perfection process. It's forever looking at the numbers and forever tweaking and making changes. I don't know what you think about that, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I sit mostly in the package stage. Like I take everyone through all of these in my program, but obviously the package stage is where people ask me to come along on the journey to help them really nut out that start. But I definitely sit in the perfection stage, and I am in it now, definitely, like tweaking everything. I have a CEO Mondays, and I always look at my stats, open rates, Instagram, saves, reach, everything like that. And that just informs everything that I do. And then I can really see what part of my messaging or content strategy or service is really getting the most results. And then I can strip back the things that aren't, that are, again, just the nice to have, to make it as simple as possible for my clients to not only learn who I am and start working with me, but to get results, because, we often stuff a whole bunch of things into our services, into our messaging, because we want to, catch all. But in the end, once you kind of go through this process and you become clear, you can strip a whole bunch of things back. And that actually gives you more confidence and clarity, which kind of sounds counterintuitive, but that's what I found to be true, and definitely what I found to be true for my clients.
Yes, I am agreeing with all of that, to be honest. And how liberating is it that when you look at the numbers and you realize that, this is really working well for me, I'm going to put more of my focus there. And the other thing is not working so well for me, so I can just let it go. And yeah, it makes it clearer, but also it frees up some of your time. And how good is that? I mean, who doesn't want more time, right?
I know. And that's what I'm all about. I'm like, how can we help you work less and create more? Because the women I work with, and I know it's similar to you, Bianca, your clients, they're multi-passionate. They're like mums, they go on holidays, they go to book club. They have so much going on, and that their business is one part of that, and that their business is designed to support their lifestyle. So when it's the other way around, it can be really overwhelming and draining and daunting. But like you said, when you get to that point when you can let go of things not serving you, say no to things, switch things up, it is so freeing. And then it reminds you, this is why you decided to do this. This is why you decided to run a business, because you want it to support who you are and what you do, and to give, I suppose, you pleasure and excitement and inspire you day to day, not take everything away from you, not be like a time suck. You want it to give you back time.
Yes, if you could see my face right now, I just hearing you say that makes me light up. Look, I know we can both talk about this forever because we love this topic, and yeah, we could talk about it for ages and ages, but we're going to wrap up. So 2 more questions. What are you curious about right now?
For me and my business, and you would know this well, Bianca, I'm really curious and interested in how I can streamline some of my selling and launch strategies so I can show up live for my one-on-one clients. So I've started investing in the courses and products, and I've got everything going. I'm trying to automate some of that. So I'm really interested in how I can do a really nice balancing act between showing up for my one-on-one clients and serving my community generally, but also having different income streams coming in that don't need my one-on-one time and attention, because lots of business owners do the signature service program and, like me, get to the stage of your business where you want to have more time, like we were just saying, to invest in other things, to get better at what you do, and you just can't do that when you're doing only one-on-one client work. So I'm kind of bridging product-based business and a service-based business in a way that feels good to me. And so I'm just really curious about how I'm going to make that work for me and for my clients.
I can't wait to see how it all unfolds, because, I know that's what you've been working on. So, stay tuned, everyone. If you had an extra $1,000 in your marketing budget, what would you spend it on?
I always find questions like this hard, because I already invest quite a lot into my business. I already have designers, web developers and everything. For me, I've just invested in a marketing coach. So I think that's really true to where I'm at. I'm interested in learning from others, from other people in my industry who are doing things differently, who are perhaps at a different stage of their business journey. So when I have large amounts of money, I often invest in upskilling myself and training myself, particularly with my craft. So, my own skill set as a copywriter, marketing coach, sales coach, etc. So I do a whole bunch of other stuff generally to support my business, but every time I have a cash injection or want to invest, it's always into me and what I do.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, we have to constantly upskill all the time. Well, thank you so much, Rachel.
Thanks so much for having me.
I am super excited to have you on the show. It's the end of the show, sadly. I know we can talk about this for much longer, but if you have any questions about launching a profitable signature service, head to rachelkurzyp.com.au. Thanks everyone for listening. And if you like the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you heard the podcast. Your review will help others to find the show and learn more about the amazing world of online marketing. Oh, and don't forget to check out the show notes for this week's episode at newschoolofmarketing.com, where you can find more about Rachel, like her amazing launch framework as a free download, and you can leave a comment about the show as well. Thank you so much, and tune in next week.